Welcome back to Lauren B. IGTV. Today we are going back to our face-off series and we'll be talking about two of the most popular shapes of 2020, being our cushion cut diamonds and our radiant cut diamonds. So today we'll compare the differences between each of these shapes and the different kinds of cuts that we work with within each of these shapes. We'll talk about the ratios and we'll look at some of our popular setting styles that we use for both of these diamonds. The first and most important thing to note about our cushion and radiant cut diamonds is that we work with a specific facet pattern called brilliant cut. So that's not something that's always necessarily noted on the GIA report, but it's something that we focus on and look for when we're sourcing our diamonds. So a brilliant cut stone is going to maximize the face up appearance of the diamond, and it's also going to give off a lot more of a brilliant sparkle and more defined facets. A good way to show you what we're talking about with the brilliant cut stones would be on the GIA report and what we look for. So here's two GIA certificates for two cushion cut diamonds. Here you have the shape listed, cushion modified brilliant, and it's 3 carats. This one too, cushion modified brilliant, 3 carats. When you shift over to this section where the plot is, I'm going to show you why these diamonds would look very different. So this shows the top of the diamond, and this is showing the bottom of the diamond. These 4 facets are the pavilion facets. Because these kind of cut short here, this diamond is going to be heavier, and this diamond will appear like the crushed ice version that we're always talking about with the facet pattern. And we shift up to this diamond, the 4 pavilion facets extend all the way to the girdle. So this diamond is going to have a nice spready appearance, and it's also going to create those more defined brilliant cut facets. So the brilliant cut stone will have a better spread and a bigger face up appearance, and you can see that with the measurements. This one is coming in at 8.65 by 8 versus the crushed ice version, which is deeper, so it's not going to look as big up top and the measurements are going to be smaller. So the same thing applies for the cushions and radiant cuts that we source for our inventory. We focus on those long pavilion facets that extend to the girdle to create that brilliant cut faceting. Next we'll go into the ratios of the radiant cut and cushion cut diamonds. So we have a lineup here of cushion cuts and radiants. They are all brilliant cut. Besides the faceting pattern, another thing that we focus on is how elongated the diamonds are. So most of the diamonds that we carry in our inventory for cushions are going to be elongated just because they're most requested. So one thing to note, elongated cushion cuts are not in their own category. It's not a shape of its own. They're all considered cushion cuts. This diamond is a perfect square, so the ratio of this one is going to be 1:1. If it's not a perfect square, it's considered elongated. So whether it is slightly elongated like this one or very elongated like this one, these are both considered elongated cushion cut diamonds because they're not a perfect square like the first one. So most of these more square-shaped cushion cuts will have a ratio of 1:1 up to 1.05:1. Over that, the diamonds become more elongated. So a diamond like this has a ratio of about 1.08:1. And then this diamond has a very elongated ratio. It comes in at 1.22:1. So ideally for cushion cuts, the diamonds will be between 1:1 to 1.2:1, and then this one is exceptionally elongated, so it falls a little bit out of that range, but still creates a very pretty look for the stone. I have 3 radiant cuts here. All are brilliant cut and elongated, but they have different ratios. So the elongated ratio for a radiant starts around 1.25:1, which is what this first stone is. So that's going to create a shorter and wider look here. Then moving on to the one in the middle, this one is not as wide. This one comes in around 1.3 for the ratio. And then the last radiant cut is a much longer and thinner look. So the weight is distributed all in the length of the stone. So this one is going to come in around 1.4 for the ratio. Now we're just going to compare the two shapes side by side. So these are both brilliant cut stones. A radiant cut diamond is a much longer, thinner shape. So although this cushion is still very elongated, it doesn't become a radiant cut even though they look very similar. So a cushion cut diamond is always going to have these nice rounded corners, while a radiant cut will have these more sharp cut angular corners. So they're both brilliant cut, they're both elongated, but that determines the difference between these two shapes here. The cushion has a softer rounded corner and the radiant cut has the more angular cut corners. Now we'll show you some of our most popular setting styles for the cushions and radiants. So the first one I want to show you are cushion cuts set in a halo. So these settings are very similar, but one thing I want to point out is how important it is that the halo follows the exact measurements of the diamond. So each one of the rings we make at Lauren B are all one of a kind because the halo is made perfectly for the center stone. So we just talked about ratios and these are all very different. The first one being much more square and then slightly elongated and then a very elongated stone. So it's really important that the halos are tailored to those measurements so that it's a nice seamless fit around each diamond. The same thing goes for the radiant cut stones. They're all going to be made perfectly by hand. So this radiant cut is slightly more elongated, while this one is a touch shorter and wider, but they're all going to be a seamless tailored fit so that there's no air or space between the stone and the halo and it kind of just blends with the shape. Show you a much simpler setting for a radiant cut. This one has our signature thin pave band, which actually all of these do, but this is just a thin pave band and then it has an open 4-prong top, just plain white gold, really simple. We could make this for a cushion cut as well. I picked another cushion cut style here that also has the same signature thin pave band. This one is our hidden halo design. So it has some design detailing around the outside of the stone. And when you look at it from the top view, the hidden halo peeks out a little bit, so it just slightly outlines the shape of the diamond. And this can also be made for a radiant cut as well. The last rings I'm going to show you are the same ones that we started with a cushion cut and a radiant cut, and these both have our signature wrap design that is so popular. This one is just the classic signature wrap with the cushion cut, and then the radiant cut ring is also signature wrap, but it's made with a cathedral pave band, and these are interchangeable as well. So the cushion with the wrap can also be made for a radiant and vice versa. So I hope this was helpful in understanding the differences between these two brilliant cut shapes. We have a lot more videos on our IGTV and our YouTube channel, so hopefully those will be helpful in giving you more info that you need. You can always email us at info@laurenb.com as well. Thanks for watching.